Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jordan from Pianote. We're taking a look at Maroon 5's This Love. This is a really cool piano track. It's a little bit challenging in that intro. So we're going to take a lot of time to look at that, and then we're going to look at the verse, which luckily is very similar to the piano-featured intro. We're going to look at the chorus, and we're even going to look at the bridge. So let's get started and take a look at the very beginning of the song, which sounds like this. Okay, so there's some cool rhythmic and chordal things that are happening in this song. The first thing that we're going to make sure that we know is the right hand is playing just straight eighth notes throughout that whole progression. So it's just pulsing this straight eighth note rhythm, and it's starting on a G chord. Starting on a G chord in first inversion. So we have B, D, and G. And then we move to C minor. And then we move to an F minor 7 chords. That is going to be, we're playing C, E flat, F, and A flat. And then again. And then we play a B diminished chord, which is a really unique sounding chord. So that is consisting of the notes B, D, F, and A flat. So again, we have G to C minor, to F minor 7, to B diminished. And then we repeat that. So that's all the right hand's doing. It's pretty simple. When you're practicing, make sure that you have that part really locked in, because that's going to become your metronome. And that is going to be what allows you to learn the left hand part, which is a little bit more complicated. There's some kind of pushed and anticipated notes that we're going to take a look at. So here's the whole part with two hands together here. Okay, this section, we're just playing straight octaves, and they kind of come in groups of 3, and they anticipate each chord change. So when we're playing our G chord, we are sitting here on B, and we're playing B, D, C. So to land on our C chord, we sound like this. Okay, so all right, so that's both hands together. Now we're going to look at just the left hand, and we're going to take this really, really slow, 60 BPM click, and we're going to look at what the notes are and how to count out the rhythms. Okay, so that is the whole part there. It comes in groups of 3s, each of these little phrases that we do in the left hand. So let's just break it down part by part here. So the first part, again, all we're doing is just playing straight octaves. First part is starting on B, and then it's jumping from B, D, C. And that's what gives us our transition from our G chord to our C minor chord. So the next part, to get from the C minor chord to the F minor 7 chord, the note starts on that C, so we land on that C, and then we move chromatically from G down to G flat to F. So from the top here, now we're on C. Now we get to our F minor 7 chord. And now the next set of 3 is just jumping from F, E flat, D. And that's what gets us from the F minor 7 chord to the B diminished chord. So let's just give that a shot right now here. And then we have one last little phrase that gets us back to the start of the loop. And so that's jumped all the way down to A flat, B flat, and then B natural. So now we're back at the start. So that is the notes, but the notes aren't really the most challenging part of that section. The most challenging part of that section is how it's counted. So I'm going to put the click on again, and we're going to just count out each of the patterns. Again, don't worry about your right hand when you're practicing this, but when you do want to put this together, make sure your right hand is really, really solid, because your right hand is just playing straight eighth notes all the way through. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a 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 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1. All right, so this is really just a situation where practice does make perfect. It really helps out if you have a good steady rhythm in your right hand. Just a quick little pointer that'll help you out a lot. With each of these phrases, your left and right hands line up on the first and third note. So it's just that middle note that kind of skips in between your 2 eighth notes in your right hand. So just pay attention to these couple movements here. Okay, so that'll help you out a ton when you're looking to sync up both hands together. So that's the riff. The verse we're going to just look at really, really quickly, because it's actually the exact same chords, the exact same left hand pattern. Literally all that's different is we switch from eighth notes to quarter notes. So I'm just going to show that really, really quickly here. So rather than going eighth notes in the right hand, we just play like this. Okay, so it's very, very similar feeling to the opening instrumental part. The right hand's just a little bit slowed down, and the left hand part, again, exact same way of counting. There's a little bit of a different interplay between both hands. So even though it might seem really simple to practice the verse after you've done the intro, treat them as separate parts, and you'll just have the song way more solid once you get to the finish line. All right, so that's the intro and the verse. Now we're going to take a look at the chorus, which luckily is simpler than both those two parts. So here's what the chorus sounds like at full speed. All right, so it consists of a pretty simple chord progression. We're just playing quarter notes the whole way through, and it starts on a C minor chord. So I'm playing C in the bass, and then I have E flat, G, and C in the right hand. Swaps up to the 4 chord, which is the F minor chord. F in the bass, A flat, C, and F. And then we go to B flat major chord. So B flat in the bass, B flat, D, and F. And then it lands on the E flat major chord. So E flat in the bass, and then I'm playing G, B flat, E flat. So it does that 3 times. She said goodbye too many times before. We have one more repetition of this part. Breaking in front of me, I had no choice. And now we land on our B flat chord, and then we end the whole chorus on a straight G triad. And then that brings us back to, brings us straight back to the opening riff. So I'm going to play that whole chorus at a really slow tempo, and just bear in mind that your final chord on that chorus is a little bit different. Rather than playing the E flat major chord, we play a G major chord to segue back into the opening riff. Okay, so now you have the intro, you got the verse and the chorus. So one last little bit to get under your fingers, then you got the whole song. So now we're looking at the bridge. The bridge consists of these chords right here. It consists of an F minor chord. Then it consists of an E flat major 7 chord. So I'm going to voice that like this. I'm going to go play my E flat in the bass, and then I'm going to play a G minor chord on top. So I have a B flat, a D, and a G. So we go from our F minor chord to this sweet E flat major 7 chord. And now we want to play a G, straight G major chord, G in the bass, B, D, G, and then resolve back to our C minor chord. So that whole progression again. Okay, and then the second repetition, exact same thing, but instead of going back to that C minor chord, you just hold that G chord for two times the length. And if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to add a little bit of color for the final little spot of the chorus, or the bridge rather, you can make it a G7 chord. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Now we go back to our chorus. All right, so the bridge, it's a really quick little part. It's just 2 repetitions. The only thing to bear in mind, again, when we get to the end of that bridge, hold that G chord for twice as long as the first repetition. All right, so now let's take a look at the bridge to the click. And that is the entirety of the song. The most complicated and most iconic part of the whole thing is that opening riff. So you do want to make sure that you get that right if you're looking to practice this song and maybe play it with some bandmates. And just bear in mind, keep your right hand nice and steady, and it'll make things so much easier for when you get to that point where you want to perform the whole thing top to bottom. So have a ton of fun playing it. If you got any other songs that you want me to teach, just leave a comment below. I would love to hear that. And if you want to check us out at pianote.com, we got so much more to teach you there, and I hope to see you on the site. All right, thanks so much, guys.